Alright guys, coming at you with a little review of the Smith & Wesson Model 317-3 kit gun. This is kind of an interesting little revolver that I've had for about 5 months now, and I figured I had enough trigger time behind it to give you guys a little review. But before I jump into the review, I need to give you a little bit of background on this particular gun. I purchased this from an individual used. He said that it had about 100 rounds through it. And after inspecting it, I knew that had very few rounds through it, just from the wear patterns. So he was accurate that way, but he wasn't exactly truthful with me. I ended up having to send this gun back to Smith & Wesson to get some repairs done on it. What had happened was, when I purchased this, I took it to the range and put about 30 rounds through it. And after about 30 rounds, what I noticed was the cylinder, and this gun is safety checked, guys, nothing in it. When I tried to pull the trigger, it was becoming almost impossible to pull the trigger on. Well, what was happening was the cylinder was not rotating, and so I stopped firing, and I tried to open the cylinder, and the cylinder would not open. It was very difficult. It was just locked up. After about 30 seconds or so, just kind of finagling it, I finally turned it over and just forced it open with my thumb. What I found was, when I inspected it, I found large chunks of lead splattered back into the cylinder. Just large chunks of lead. And what my theory was that the bullet, when it exited the chamber, was actually hitting the forcing cone, which is this part of the revolver right here. It was hitting the forcing cone and splattering back into the cylinder, into the chambers. And so what was happening then was, and this is what I think was happening, was that the pressure was forcing the spent casings back up against the rear of the revolver here to the point where it was locking the cylinder up. So anyway, I called up Smith & Wesson, and they had fantastic customer service. They sent me out a prepaid shipping label, sent it back, and within less than 3 weeks, I received the revolver back with a letter. Now, it says that my complaints were the cylinder was cramping up, and that it was hard to open and close the cylinder, and that that was spitting lead. Actually, it was splattering it back in. Now, I did not clean the revolver when I sent it back to Smith & Wesson so that they could inspect the actual lead splatter itself. Now, the repairs, what they stated they had done to the revolver was that they replaced the cylinder, they replaced the yoke screw, and they cut on the forcing cone. So they replaced the cylinder, okay, with a new cylinder. They replaced the yoke and the yoke screw, and they also cut the forcing cone. I'm sure that was just to keep the cylinder gap within specs. So when I got it back, I took it to the range and put 150 rounds through it. No problems whatsoever. And then right around 150 rounds, I opened it up to inspect it, and I found little bits of lead splatter back into the cylinder. And so, I was kind of at a loss. I wasn't having the cylinder cramping that I was having before, but I was still having some lead splatter a bit. So what I did then was I cleaned the revolver, and then I changed up my ammunition. I changed over to mini mags, and I changed over to the Federal bulk pack as well, both of which are copper-plated bullets. After that, I have never seen a problem. I've probably had almost 600-700 rounds through this gun since then, and I've never had a problem with that leading issue again. So what I determined was, and what the ammo I was using before was the 40 grain lead round nose CCI Blazers. So I have a bit of a theory as to why the splatter was happening. I don't think it was splatter at all when I received the revolver back. What I think was happening is that aluminum is a bit more abrasive than like stainless steel or other steels. And what I was thinking what it was doing was it was actually just kind of peeling some of the lead off of the bullet before it exited the cylinder. I think the plated copper bullets actually prevented that from happening, and I've not seen any problems since then. You can tell that this gun has had a few rounds through it, being as dirty as it is, and I did that on purpose just to show you guys what you could expect from a revolver that functions properly. You can see that it is dirty, and that's a lot of powder scoring and powder residue, but there's no lead fragments. There's no major lead fragments. This is how a revolver should be. I've been criticized in the past because I had to send back my Ruger SP-101 to have it repaired, and they ended up replacing my Ruger SP101 in 22 because it was splattering lead all over inside of the gun, and Ruger sent a letter stating that they deemed the gun unrepairable and replaced it. Smith & Wesson, they were able to replace the cylinder on this one, and the gun has functioned flawlessly since then. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about the specs of the gun. What we have is we have a 3-inch barrel. Okay, that doesn't, on a revolver they do not take into consideration the chamber or the cylinder as part of the barrel. They just consider from forcing cone to the muzzle. I don't know why they do that exactly. In a semi-auto, they include the bullet casing as part of the barrel length. But this one has a 3-inch barrel. And from a 3-inch barrel, you can expect your velocities with your standard high velocity ammunition to be right around 950 feet per second-ish. If you're firing like something a little faster like these Remington Vipers, you're going to get about 1100 feet per second out of something like that. So you're going to get some, moderate velocities with a shorter barrel. You see that same thing happening with guns like the SR-22 from Ruger or the Walther P-22. Both of those have short barrels as well, and you're seeing about the same velocities out of those. The construction of the pistol is all aluminum. So we have an aluminum alloy frame, we have an aluminum cylinder, aluminum alloy cylinder, and aluminum alloy barrel shroud. Okay, the reason why I say that is because on the inside, it's really dirty, so it's hard to see, but that is a stainless steel barrel insert on the inside. So that is still, but the outer portion is that aluminum alloy as well. That results in an incredibly light handgun. If you pick it up, that's the first thing you notice, that it weighs so little. This is 12.5 ounces. And for a revolver, that's almost unheard of. And that was one of the things that really intrigued me about the 317 was its weight. It is super, super lightweight, and when I decided to pick one of these up, I got it because I figured it would be something that the kids would be able to shoot very easily, and I thought that it would be something that they could carry, and if we ever wanted to do like a little backpacking trip or something like that, this would be a great little carry gun. The 22 revolver is also, in my opinion, one of the best prep handguns as well. For WROL, Shiz Hits a Fan, that kind of stuff. The gun, a revolver, is complete. You don't need any other outside materials, maybe besides a holster and ammunition, to operate the handgun. The magazine is the cylinder, and it is attached. I just got done doing a little sneak peek on my new M&P 22, and and the feedback I've been getting on that video is that people are having a hard time finding magazines for it. And that's one of the biggest problems with those guns, is that they need those outside parts in order to function. A revolver is complete, and that is one of the biggest benefits in a Shiz Hits a Fan scenario. And the 22 long rifle being one of the best prep calibers out there, I figured that this would be a good gun for that. Now, because it is a little bit lightweight, the gun tends to be a little bit more difficult to shoot, and there's been other people on YouTube that have stated the same thing, and I would say that is accurate to some degree. That lightweight does make it a little bit more difficult to handle, mainly because it moves around a lot. It doesn't have that stabilizing weight that you see with other revolvers or other handguns. This being so light, and it is a 22, and it is a 22 rimfire. And 22 rimfires, you need a little bit more spring tension and hammer tension in order to light off the round reliably. Now, the 317 shouldn't be dry fired, so I'm not going to be doing a lot of dry firing with this. I do not have snap caps, you can use spent casings as snap caps, but they're hard to get into the cylinder. And on this gun, the cylinder's kind of dirty. I haven't cleaned this in about 400 rounds, so I'm not going to be dry firing it in this video. But the trigger is about, close to 10 pounds probably in the double action. It is a very smooth double action, but it is heavy. And again, that is so that you can reliably ignite the rimfire. Now, in single action, it is about, it's a really crisp 3-pound let-off, and that is really, really good. I think that the single action is as good as you really need it to be. Now, the sights on it are a V-notch V-notch rear sight with the HI-Viz front sight. That's a really nice sight for picking up light. The problem with this is it has a rounded top, as you can see right there. And you know, and others have criticized the sight picture on the 317 as kind of being difficult to shoot well with. I don't really find it to be much of an issue. I don't really consider this a bullseye gun, so I don't really worry too much about how tight my groups are. This is more or less the category really that I put it in is like a plinking style gun, like a woods carry gun. You know, can you hunt with this? Yeah, and I'm going to roll in some footage of me shooting this at 30 yards, and it's accurate. It's accurate enough. I mean, it's an accurate pistol inherently. I just think that you have to be pretty steady with it, and because it is lightweight, it is a little bit more difficult to stabilize. So if you're a little bit shaky, it might be a little bit harder gun to be super accurate with. But I think inherently the gun is more than adequate accuracy-wise for your average shooter. Now, I just kind of love Smith & Wesson's quality, their build quality. You know, you can see that some of the, like the milling here on the back strap, you know, some of the milling along the, you know, the trigger guard, it's just kind of fit and polished. It's a really, really nice gun. I mean, Smith & Wesson usually does a pretty good job, but it's definitely a really well-crafted firearm. I don't think you can really complain on the build quality at all with the Smith & Wesson. I also really like this kind of matte silver finish that they've done with the aluminum. I think that it looks really nice. I don't see, you know, abrasive wear or anything like that being a super big issue with the finish. I think that it should wear really nicely. So I need to make a note that the grips that are on this gun right now are not the original grips that came with the gun. The original grips extend down and are a full gripped style pistol grip. This one is more of that snubbed pistol grip that is more standard on your other Smith & Wesson J-frames. Here's an example of one. This is a model 442 airweight. This is 38 Special and 38 Special Plus P. This one is been a carry gun of mine, just a fantastic little revolver, but you can see that the grips are identical. The frames are actually identical on these two pistols, minus that this one has the trigger shroud and has a bob trigger on the inside. But they are both J-frame revolvers, and one of the nice things about the 317 is that you can find accessories for them because they are J-frame. The J-frame has been around for a long time. It's very, very popular, and there's a lot of accessories out there to purchase for them. All right, let's go ahead and talk about firepower. Now, this one is an 8-shot cylinder, so that gives you a few extra rounds over your standard J-frame revolver, like the 442 here. That's a 5-shot cylinder. So this gives you about 3 shots over that, and that's nice. I like that for a J-frame revolver. I think that's more than adequate. So one of the biggest downsides to this revolver is its price. On Smith & Wesson's website, they've got it listed for $700, I think, and $59 MSRP. You're going to find it right around $650 in your local gun shops. So it is a pricey revolver. You know, most Smith revolvers are that way anyway. I picked it up for quite a bit less than that, and I'm glad I did, especially with the hassle that I had to go through in order to get it repaired. This is, you know, if I had to pay the $650, I might even pass on this revolver because of that. The SP101 I picked up for $570, I think, brand new from my gun store. Another kind of pricey gun, but what you're getting in a revolver is you're getting a gun that's very complete. You don't have to go out and spend a lot of money on magazines, so you are getting a little bit more a more complete package when you purchase a revolver. Being that as it is, though, it is an expensive gun, and that is something to take into consideration when deciding upon the 317. So overall, what is my opinion on it? I think it's a really, really great gun. I think that you have to kind of understand what you're purchasing when you do get it. Just to give you a little summary of it, it's a very, very lightweight revolver with 8 shots. It's going to give you pretty good firepower, but it is a little bit more difficult to shoot. It is super light. The trigger is a bit heavy on the double action in order for it to be reliable with the rimfire. The sight the sights are, in my opinion, adequate, but they could have done a little bit better with making a little bit more precision sights. But again, I don't think that this is really meant to be a bullseye gun. I think it's more to be a lightweight pack gun, like Smith & Wesson said. It's a kit gun. It's something that goes in your hunting kit, your backpacking loadout, your camping kit, those kind of things. And I think it's a great gun for, you know, poop hits the fan, or, you know, WROL, or long-term WROL, or long-term poop hits the fan. Let me just kind of clarify that a bit. I don't think this is the first line of defense you're going to want to have. I know that there are some people out there that do conceal carry a gun just like this. And to them I say, if that's what you want, and if you feel comfortable with carrying a 22, I think this is a really, really good option. Mainly because of its compact size, and you get 8 cylinders. You know, you do get a little bit added advantage having a little bit longer barrel. I know that Ruger has the LCR 22, and that's an 8-shot cylinder as well, but it does have a little bit shorter barrel. And when you're talking a 22 long rifle, something that is not very powerful anyway, you want to have as much velocity as you possibly can get. And having that little extra amount of barrel length is definitely going to help in keeping your velocities up. But I think that I don't really advocate people carrying 22 for their concealed carry. But I know there's people out there that are extremely shy when it comes to recoil, and extremely shy when it comes to muzzle blast and things like that. And they shoot better with a rimfire because of their confidence level. Anyway, without getting into a ton of philosophy on concealed carry with a rimfire gun, if you're going to conceal a rimfire, I would definitely conceal a revolver rimfire, mainly because you have that next round strike capability with a revolver, and you know, being that rimfire sometimes is a little bit less reliable, it's nice to have that. But without getting into a ton of philosophy that way, that'll be for another video. This could be a concealed carry gun. Overall, guys, I think that it's a viable option for you if you can, if the price isn't too much for you, and that you know that it's going to be a little bit more difficult gun to shoot, and that you have to shoot with it a little bit more often to get really good at it. But with 22 ammunition being some of the cheapest ammunition you can shoot, that shouldn't be a problem to get some trigger time behind it. So. Alright guys, well anyway, that is a look at the Smith & Wesson 317-3. Please don't forget to leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about this gun. Don't forget to rate the video, share it with your friends. It does help the video out, and it does help our channel grow. And I do really, really appreciate it. And as always guys, thanks very, very much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video. See ya. This is the first rounds that I've shot with the gun. This is a 12-round mag. We are shooting the CCI Blazers 40 grain lead round rounds. Let's see how well it performs here.